Welcome to the Path to Purpose interview show, where we share our unique and universal stories about finding and fulfilling our purpose. My name is Katja, and I'm your host and a mentor for Lightworkers. My intention for the show is to inspire you on your path to purpose. Today, I have a pleasure to interview my fellow co-author from Teach Your Expertise book, Jan Luther, who has been practicing heart-centered healing and coaching for over 20 years. She's worked with experts, authors, healers, and coaches from around the world. Jan is one of the 9 emotional freedom techniques, EFT, founding masters practitioners in the United States. Let's find out more about her path, and I will also ask her best tips to finding emotional freedom. So let's get started here. Welcome, Jan. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, Katja, I am so grateful. All the effort and work that you're putting into these, we just bless you for this work and all the work that you do. But I'm honored to be able to have this private time just with you and we'll pretend there's friends out there watching, but this is so fun to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to have you here. And could you please tell us a bit more about you? Because I know you do a lot. I read your one sheet and I'm just sharing one thing that you do. And also, please share where you're located so that we can put you on the map.
Awesome. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina on the East Coast. And for all the things that I do, I thought it might be more helpful for the listeners to maybe relate to how I got to the emotional freedom techniques, because especially the people that you and I work with, we all come into this world as empaths. And we all come into this world with a mission. And so all of us have come into a world of chaos. For myself, I'm a child of the 60s, so we're talking a man on the moon and Vietnam War and an assassination of JFK. And for myself, I was born into a family of chaos. I was the 6th of 7 children, a family of poverty, alcoholism, a lot of childhood trauma. And so as empaths, we take that on. We don't know when we're coming into this world how to filter out what's ours, what's theirs. And even once we start understanding that, golly dang, what do we do with that? Because unless we have some kind of tool, coach, assistant, teacher, right, all of your expert people are going to be listening to this going, yep, I can do that part, I can do that part. And that's really what led me, because all of that trauma created intense anxiety, started becoming physical. I started having chronic back pain and actually was told by a chiropractor that I wouldn't walk after 40. So don't believe everything you hear. Constant migraines, and actually was hospitalized at one point for depression. And I know now, I can see it so clearly now that I've done the healing work and found EFT and created my own healing modality, that it literally is about being able to attune our body to the spirit that lives in it instead of the other way around. We try to force our spirit to cope with and to manage, and then our mind, right? I call it the ego. And over the course of many years of working with tapping, I've developed my own version of tapping that is very spiritual. And it's all about taming the ego, the inner critic, the shadow side, whatever we call it, because it's more than just the voice in our head. It's the voice of our flesh, the voice that, you know, that craving, that temptation, that laziness, that all those things that come from the flesh, as well as that voice in our head that wants to, you know, pretty much just tear us down and keep us from the light. So for me, it was salvation and necessity. And after I became a founding master and started really searching for my path and was so excited to go and teach, I want everybody in the world to know how to do these tools, as I'm sure we all do, because they're just the best. I was on my path and literally getting ready to run on this mission of writing another book and teaching around the world, and got a phone call that our 22-year-old son had died in a car accident.
Oh,
and so then the whole world kind of goes, but I was healed enough, and this is really important for me to say it this way, I was healed enough that I could lean on the spirit, excuse me, that I could lean on the spirit and make a decision literally from like day one that I was going to do this differently. I wasn't going to do it the way I saw other people do it, which was lose their life in grief. And
Mm.
so I decided to use it as an opportunity to really, from the inside out, understand the grief process in our mind, the grief process in our body, and create steps and techniques that we could use to, especially because those grief things can be, they can hang on for the rest of our lives if we don't heal them.
Yeah.
And once I started getting through that, I realized that my first passion will always be empowering other people with this tool. So I have what I call the Ego Tamer Academy,
Mm-hmm.
which we kind of affectionately call obedience school for your inner critic and the ego. And through that, we have a spiritual program that is literally like a spiritual mentoring where I teach people how to recognize the voice, shut the voice up, and tune into, most important, tune into their spirit. And then I teach other practitioners how to do my tapping, the Ego Tamer tapping, and I mentor and certify them as well. So full plate and happy heart, and so grateful to God for the healing that I've been allowed to have and the miracles that I've been able to see.
Mm. And thank you for sharing your personal journey. And I just want to acknowledge you really like having the level of awareness, like after such a tragic loss, having a choice there, like how you chose to handle what happened in that moment while going through, of course, all the emotion, the grief process, and yet choosing, because that's the choice, how, because things happen, life happens,
Yes.
but how we relate to what happens, there is such a powerful choices that we can make for ourselves. And then now you are also helping others on the journey. And
Thank you. And just, it wasn't me, right? That's the one thing, is I want to be really clear. It was not myself. It was not my ego. That was a God thing. That was a God lift up. So I want to just acknowledge that
yeah.
that was a little blessing. And I want to be very honorable about knowing that that was a gift for me, which is another reason that I'm so passionate about being that voice for other people who are stuck in that emotion and really have no understanding or recourse. Because it will, grief, unresolved grief and trauma
Mm.
will just suck the life out of you if you let it. And I'm I'm really passionate about making sure that people don't get stuck in that place. So thank you.
So in your opinion, why do so many people get stuck with the grief or other emotions that maybe whatever that is for them, that but they get stuck with the emotion?
My personal experience is I became a Reiki master. When all the medications and the doctors and the chiropractors and all those things that I was trying to cope with my symptoms weren't really working. I knew it had to be spiritual and there had to be something else. So I started going the non-traditional route and learned Reiki, became a Reiki master, had more miracles for my clients than I could have for myself. I don't know what that's about. You can relate to me, right? I seem to be able to do better for them than I could do for myself. But I saw the miracles and I realized there's an energy component, right?
Mm.
That made it very clear that there's this energetic component. A lot of times we're just trying to talk through it. And
Yeah.
so we've got the energy and the mentality, and then we have this emotional body that stores things. And between the three of them, they come up with what I call verdicts. And the number one verdict that we come up to is it's not fair, it shouldn't happen to me. And in that mindset, we can't get out of that pit, right? So we have to literally address it all three ways. And that's what I do with the Ego Tamer Academy. And the Ego Tamer tapping is it's not just emotional, which is a lot of the physical and emotional energy, but it's
Mm.
very much focused on getting to the core of the mental beliefs that are feeding it. And then kind of the crowning glory, I like that word. The crowning glory is bringing spirit in to affirm what is true, what is going to take you forward, and what is your reason for this experience. Because scriptures tell us that these are the things that actually bring us to spirit, as we have to kind of, the word crucify the flesh, which I hate that phrase, but I get it, is we have to die to that voice so that
Mm.
we can live with this one.
Mm. And that is a powerful way to describe that. And I totally get the crucified in flesh sounds very drastic, but that has been my own experience too. Like you kind of need to go through that process
Yeah.
to get to the other side. And now if someone has inspiration to start like recognizing that they are stuck, like something might have happened in their life years ago even, and they've been stuck in that emotion. What could be the first step towards uh, freedom from
Mm.
the being stuck? What would you say? And of course, I would recommend just contact Chan. that,
Right.
that would be the first step. But if they
Yeah.
want to, like, okay, how? What would you help them with? Like, can they start?
This isn't something I would really tell my clients, but just to give people an idea of my mindset and what I help my practitioners recognize is, and I would have anybody that's listening and wants to really practice this write down these three words. And the word is who, true, and do. You know, scripture tells us that we have to take every thought captive. And I promise you, the reason we stay stuck is because our mind is built to ruminate. And that ego mind will just keep focusing and focusing and focusing on the problem, which we know in law of attraction is going to get us lots more of the problem. And we also know that when I focus on a problem or a pain, it creates an emotion, which is a negative vibrational emotion.
Mm,
And the more I do that, the lower I sink, which is what depression is all about, is it literally becomes this depressed state of my spirit.
yeah.
And I can't always just think my way out of it, but this is a really good 3-step that I invite people to do. So the first step is who. And when you can stop and go, here's the repetitive thought, it's not fair.
Mm,
You ask yourself, who taught you that? Where'd you get that idea? Right? Is you literally challenge that ego brain to go, okay, because you know if you don't challenge it, you're going to keep going down that same path, which is going to be that depressed, powerless, frustrated, angry, right? As then it becomes, that's truly when it becomes the anger and the depression, is it's like now I feel like the victim to the experience, when it really just started as, ouch, I don't like this,
yeah.
right? This shouldn't be my experience. So the first question is who taught you? And is that person someone that you really want to believe? Which a lot of times it's us, right? Because I'm not always right. The second one is true. And
Mm,
so then you say, so is that true? And so in the experience, and I know this is really hard when you're in those first few years, I hate to say that, but grief is a whole being process. It's like really literally a restoration of your whole being to do the whole process. And it can be done very quickly. I help my clients do it sometimes in a couple of months. We can do sessions and start that process, but sometimes it'll take years for people to really get to make the decision. That's what Spirit's showing me, is it'll really take some people a while to make the decision that, you know what, I don't want to suffer anymore. Maybe my family pattern and my family tradition is that suffering means love.
mm,
And so that's a really good example of, is it true? Does suffering always mean love? Is that true? Right? And if we can really step back from it and go, ooh, it's not true for everybody. It's not true in every situation. It can't really be a capital T truth, right? It's my truth. I'm going to hold on to it. Go ahead. Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. Those are really powerful, powerful questions. And then what you can do with the answers, then it is that is the key. Like
Yes.
the first step is start asking those questions, because
Yes.
that
And
is
for me, when I ask the do, is to me, it's always, Lord, what if anything
mm,
would you have me do with this information? Sometimes it's trash bin, right? Sometimes it's do more exploration. Sometimes it's have a conversation or bring it to a coach or a healer or something so that they can start recognizing. Because once we find the core belief that's
mm,
creating this pattern, oh, it's like this rainbow of negative roots that we can start pulling out. But we got to start with what is that thought, and kind of
yeah.
chunk it down a couple layers. So it can be really powerful if you play with it.
Yeah, so check it out, test it out.
Yes.
And you are sharing more in the Teach Your Expertise book. I'm
Yes.
so excited about that book. And what can people find from your chapter?
I decided with my chapter, I really wanted to encourage people to recognize the power of programs. As you know, that's one of the things that Alina teaches really well, and was the whole reason that I came to her is I've been teaching EFT first and then my ego tamer tapping for years. But every time I put together some kind of a program, it just kind of felt wimpy. Okay. And when I participated in her program, it was like, holy crap, she's got like this wisdom and this, you know, she's a not only a philosopher, I think on some levels, but she's a professor, and I could feel her ability to take knowledge and put it into packages that made sense. So I'm really talking about my experience of taking this academy of mine, the Ego Tamer Academy, and the tapping training and mentoring program, and refining it to the place where the testimonials I started getting of once I would just tweak some or rewrite a whole module that was like really crap before, the impact has been astonishing. They're getting not only the knowledge, but they're having the ability to go back and listen. And I mean, there's just a lot of that. So that was part of what I was looking for, is I wanted to really encourage them to consider that. And through the process, I acknowledge that that ego voice is going to come up with all the doubts and all the fears and all the not good enough, can't do, or whatever. So as they're reading the chapter, I'm hoping they're going to be able to see that I'm throwing in kind of all over the place little reframes for them to ask, who taught me that? Is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Right? And when I can show you that that thought has a parallel positive and you can stay here, that's when it really changes. So that's what I really wanted to do. It felt like there was so much. I'm sure you had the same experience. You get so many words and it's like, I want to say this. so I crammed a lot of energy into it. That's the other thing that I want to tell your listeners that will get it, is I have definitely embedded energy and code of love, light, and truth into my chapter. And my prayer is that anyone that reads it will feel if it's for them, will feel if this is what they need, and that it will inspire them.
Beautiful. So if you want to check out the book, click the link on the comments below and get your copy, because there is so much wisdom in that book. So I highly, highly recommend you to click the link below and get your copy and get all the additional wisdom that you put it there. So thank you for sharing. And now we are coming towards the end of our time together here during this interview. So I'd love to ask, do you have a special message that you would like to share?
First, because I almost forgot, is my gift that I put for the chapter. Once you read the chapter, is there's a place to get a free gift, which I actually put together a program specifically for business owners. Doesn't matter what your business is. And we're erasing the top 5 fears that keep you from marketing and building your business. And it's actually 5 little modules where I take you right through a tapping on how to clear the voice in your head to get you out of your own way. So to me, the real goal and my real prayer always is that we'll listen more to our heart than our head, because our head is a liar. And for those of us who are very acquainted with it, it's also mean. And to recognize that there is such a calling on your life, or you wouldn't be listening to this. And that you are a light worker, a torch bearer, whatever phrase you use to define your beautiful God-given talent and mission. And for me, it's always remembering that we have the right and the responsibility to enhance the relationship we have with that creator of the light, and then nothing is impossible.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jan, for your time here today and all your work that you do in the world.
Thank you.
And go and check. And thank you for also sharing about the gift, because that is such an amazing thing. So click the link below and get your copy if you're watching this. And thank you for watching the Path to Purpose interview show. If you want support on your path, you can join my online community called LIghtworkers Who Succeed on Purpose. And I am so inspired to inspire you on your journey, and stay well and stay tuned for the next episode. Bye for now.